if you're worried about what the liberal media is going to say about your candidate, you lost. It's over. Welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's get right to it. First topic. So Trump completely dressed down Canada right in front of their new Prime Minister, Mark Carney. Take a look at the clip.
We want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada. And we put tariffs on cars from Canada. And at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of, past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number.
Oh no, Canada. Wasn't this supposed to be the guy who was going to take on Trump and not make Canada the 51st state? And then he just goes in there and looks like a complete, just utter pipsqueak compared to Trump. Trump basically owned the guy the whole time. He just had to sit there and wear it while Trump just told him everything that's happening, right? Oh, well, you are ripping us off to the tune of $200 billion. I already talked to Governor Trudeau, and he told us that if we put tariffs in, that we stop buying cars from Canada, that you're just going to get destroyed. And I just think it's inevitable now. You guys are becoming the 51st state. What is it? Alberta's already trying to become the 51st state. It's just... See, what happened is Canada made their election all about Trump, right? It's whatever Trump said, we got to get the guy who's going to go up against Trump and, keep Canada strong against Trump. And it's just like, Americans would never make their election about another country or another country's leader and what that person's saying. That's just so weak-minded to, make your election about some other country, right? But then the Canadians, they always come out and say, oh, but you don't know Canadian politics. You're an American. You don't know Canadian. The liberal media, they're going to make our candidate look bad. Okay, well, conservatives, if you're worried about what the liberal media is going to say about your candidate, you lost. It's over. There is no election anymore because Trump just gave a master class on how to completely destroy the liberal media and win an election at the same time, and you're worried about, what the liberal media is going to say about your candidate. It's just the most weak-minded mentality I've ever heard in my life. Oh, we're going to let we're basically going to let our enemy, the liberal media, dictate who we speak to. That's why the guy didn't go on any podcasts or anything. Polyev was either too scared, or his shtick would run out in 10 minutes, or they were too worried about the liberal media blasting him for going on like Joe Rogan or, any other podcast that might be seen as right wing, So yeah, they basically let the liberal media dictate their message and who they spoke to. And when you do that, when you let the people you're going up against dictate what you do, you immediately have lost the battle. And that's just what Canada did, and they're becoming the 51st state now. Trump just completely destroyed their prime minister. They have absolutely no hope. That's just the reality, folks. But let's get to the next topic. So CNN showed a poll that suggests that Americans are loving Trump's stance on crime. Go ahead, take a look at the clip.
All right, net approval rating handling crime. What do we have here? We have a positive rating for Donald Trump, even in the most recent polling. Look at that, at plus 2 points. Far better than Joe Biden, who was so far underwater. My goodness, he was setting records at minus 26 points. You rarely ever see it. So Donald Trump ran in part on law and order. It was one of the reasons that he got elected. And at this particular point, Americans like what they're hearing from him on the issue of crime. And you see this right here with a plus 2 net approval rating, far better than Joe Biden left office with back in 2024.
Yeah, somewhere along the line, like especially during BLM, I think it was the George Floyd riots, where we just stopped prosecuting crime altogether. Like, unless you were a white person with something to lose, you were actually trying to be a productive member of society, and then you are seen speeding or something, then yeah, we're going to go ahead and give you a $400 ticket for speeding. But if you go steal $900 worth of crap at Walgreens, we're just going to let you go. And we're not, because you really have nothing to lose, because you're probably some sort of just thug tweaker, so there's really no reason to convict you of anything or charge you of a crime, because you got nothing to lose. Now, if you're trying to be some sort of, person who's getting ahead in life, yeah, we're going to take you down, because we can't be having those types of people. That's some sort of, crazy behavior that we can't really be having. People trying to be, good, productive members of society. But yeah, it just goes to show you that people are completely done with the whole, oh, we're not prosecuting crime, or, we're letting people steal crap. Yeah, we're done with that. It's over. We need if anything, we need to go hard on crime. They let the criminals have their way with everybody for so long that now it almost needs to be reversed even harder the other way this time, and frankly, if you're not committing any crimes or not doing anything stupid, you shouldn't have to worry about anything, You got nothing to worry about, because you're not going out and committing stupid crimes, and you're not a thug. But all right, let's get to the next topic. So China is set to meet with U.S. trade officials on this weekend, apparently, in Switzerland. Go ahead, take a look at the clip.
The world has been coming to the U.S., and China has been the missing piece. I was going to be in Switzerland to negotiate with the Swiss. Turns out the Chinese team is traveling through Europe, and they will be in Switzerland also. So we will meet on Saturday and Sunday. And, look, we have shared interest that this isn't sustainable, as I said before, especially on the Chinese side. And, 145%, 125% is the equivalent of an embargo. We don't want to decouple. What we want is fair trade.
Yeah, so everybody knows Trump's trade war was always about China and making sure that they don't overtake the U.S. as like a world power and, economic power. But it's unfortunate that all the other countries who we had to, put the tariffs on too, just because, it's equality, right, folks? Equality. I mean, at that case, if we're going to take out China, we're going to have to take out the rest of the tariffs as well. The fair trade across the board, or else we're basically screwing you over. But the thing about China, though, and they were the end goal, obviously, and it looks like they're coming to the table, but they are willing to just let their people suffer for a long time, because, they don't really give a damn about their people. That's why this became the problem in the first place, because they just give slave wages over there, and they can make anything, because people will go spend less money on their, manufacturing than they do in America. So yeah, it basically just comes down to Trump wanted to take out China, and looks like they're coming to the table because, apparently Xi Jinping's not going to let their people go into complete just despair over this, but he doesn't want to look weak in front of Trump, so he'll probably try to do some sort of, deal that lets him save face, and he can tell his people, oh no, we got one over on Trump too. It's kind of fair now, but we dictated the terms. That's basically what's going to happen, and basically China's bending the knee to Trump. That's what it's looking like. But all right, let's get to the next topic. So Trump took some time out of blasting Mark Carney in Canada to blast Obama yesterday. And go ahead, take a look at the clip.
President Obama, and if he wanted help, I'd give him help because I'm a really good builder and I build on time, on budget. He's building his library in Chicago. It's a disaster. And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns. The job is stopped. I don't know. It's a disaster. And I don't like that happening because I think it's bad for the presidency that a thing like that should happen. He's got a library that's a disaster. And he wanted to be very politically correct, and he didn't use good, hard, tough, mean construction workers that I love, Marco. I love those construction workers. But he didn't want construction workers. He wanted people that never did it before, and he's got a disaster in his hands.
Yeah, so I remember seeing a story a while back about how Obama wanted his workforce that was going to build his presidential library in Chicago to be a certain amount of black, you know, and then just basically a complete DEI woke construction crew. And now it's well behind, and there's just been tons of problems. And this Trump just had to call it out, especially because he's a builder, like he said. He's a builder. He's done many builds. He's gotten plenty of builds done for cheap and on time. And Obama just goes out there and talks about how, we're going to be doing a very equitable and, it's going to be DEI workforce. I mean, he didn't say DEI, but that's essentially what he's claiming, And it just blew up in his face, and Trump just had to point it out. That's why you gotta love Trump. He just doesn't care what people think about what he says. He's saying it regardless. And if he just gets to blast somebody while he's doing it, I mean, more power to him, right? The guy, he loves just sticking it to Biden or Obama at any juncture he possibly can. But all right, that's it for today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll be seeing you.